SPY coming up on the 200 here on the 1 minute. How about now? Okay, now it looks like it's live. Okay. See AbbVie loses bid to reverse ruling on Humira patents, probably. Posted in Seeking Alpha a couple hours ago. Thanks, Samson. Luckily, they have more pipeline than that. Yeah. What in the boot? It is looking like, every dip that we see, every dip that comes in, gets bought up. We've been seeing that. Um, it seems like every dip is a buy the dip opportunity. Yeah, let's keep an eye on AbbVie right here. When was that posted, Samson? Yeah, right. I mean, we'll see what happens, but luckily, they have a pretty solid pipeline from my understanding. And that whole Allergan acquisition was to solidify their position and their pipeline. A lot of what I read, uh, is estimating them to do really well through 2025. But we'll see what happens here. No, nothing in the last hour. And Bobby, yeah, I got out of cat a while ago. Had that pullback on ZM, and then a little pop. Let's see what it does here at the 34. Twilio kind of fallen below this channel that it was in here. Short term intraday channel. 1 minute chart. And MU at 58. And Amazon bounced here near the 200 in VWAP. Crossed back through the 34 momentarily and then dropped back down. See BA at an interesting spot here. See if it's going to double bottom or collapse. Right in there. And CRWD pulled back to 55 from high a day 56.50. So $1.50 off the high a day. So yeah, Samson, it's hard to tell, but you typically look at the dark pool transaction and then see where we're trading in relation to that. It has not made it back to that where we saw that decent sized transaction occur. But in general, this has been a buy the dip scenario. We'll see what happens. ZM getting some more pullback here. Where is Xilinx? Had a nice run today. High a day 115. $100.15. Now getting a little buy volume come in. Watch this thing. See if it can get back over the 200. Some intraday resistance here, 99.67-ish. Keep an eye on that. Wonder if the rest of the afternoon is going to be chop or if we're going to get any sort of movement here. I like XLNX, but right now the momentum is it's slow. But let's see what it does right here at the 200. Samson, I'm not ready to speculate on a sell-off. But yeah, it was like at 323.03. Pretty sizable dark pool print. Like 60 million or something, I think. But we shall see. Maybe kind of double bottom-ish here on Twilio. Support 108.44. And now AbbVie getting a bounce. And I'll tell you, Samson, I've seen that Humira. I've been seeing the headlines there. Just not sure how much impact that's going to have. To me, it doesn't feel like it's anything new, but MU continuing to make new highs, 58.11. And Xilinx hitting its head right here on the 200. Let's take a look real quick. Get rid of that channel. This is on a 15-minute on Twilio. What are we at? 108.42. You got 109.31 or 35 is the fib R2. 108.55 is a pivot. So 108.05. 786 extension off this move. Cat still moving up here. Now let's see. Broke above, just barely above that 200. See where it's going to go from here. You can see this kind of being resistance. 99.63 to 99.67. Kind of right where we're coming into on the 1 minute. You can see this on the 1 hour chart. Same area. You can see, why this would be a difficult area. This has been support, support, and also acted as resistance a few times here on the daily, right where it's at. So pretty key area. Oiler defense plays. Oxy has been on fire. Yeah, it has. Um, I'm in some Halliburton. Um, Oxy has been on fire. Oxy worries me a little bit just because of the headline risk. There was all that Carl Icahn stuff of a hostile takeover for a while. I know he has not been happy, so it concerns me a little bit. Halliburton, I think, is at a long term area of support, and I picked up some comments. You'd have to go read about it. They're like he thought that they paid way too much for some of the land that they leased or bought or something, and he was trying to like overthrow some like like it was messy. It was messy. Damn, MU just does not want to stop. Yeah, let's just say that he was not pleased like at the way they were spending money and investing and operating, and he was very vocal about it. You can certainly still play it. Nothing wrong with it. But yeah, I mean, based on the almanac, like which I look at and you know, I love the historical probabilities. Um, but we're in the middle of. So it's said to start buying XOI, uh, which is oil, in December through July. 15-year return, buying in December, selling in July. 15-year return is 11%. What's the almanac? It's the Stock Traders Almanac. Something I pick up every year. A lot of people do. Shows you the historical probabilities, historical trends. I talked about this yesterday. Um, it outlines. There's a lot of different stuff that it outlines. A lot of different trends, right? But one of them is this the history of, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. The history of how the market reacts to the first 5 trading days in January. So nice pop on AbbVie. Um, so it says the last 44 times the first 5 days in January were up, they were followed by full year gains 36 times. So 36 out of 44, 81% accuracy, and a 13% average gain across all 44 years. And it talks about the 8 exceptions, which were flat years 94, 2011, 2015. 4 of those years were related to war, and in 2018. And then it talks about the 25 down first 5 days were followed by 14 up and 11 down, so only 44% accuracy to the downside at average gain of 1%. Presidential election years, this indicator has a solid record. In the last 17 presidential election years, 14 full years followed the direction of the first 5 days. Well, JBug, I keep it because it tells you, there's stuff in here day to day, month to month, week to week. There's good stuff in here. This one starts out with talking about the fact that typically the 10th year in a decade is a bearish year. We're in the 10th year of a decade. But presidential election years are typically bullish. And to expect volatility because those are, conflicting. It also talks about the fact that when the current sitting president is going for re-election, that's typically bullish. The market likes it. And if the current sitting president gets reelected, it's typically followed by 1 to 2 full bullish years. So it is interesting. I like the historical trends and looking at, things that might have an impact on the market. At least understanding them and where we sit, like, high level. Okay, out of the last, 60 years, this is what has happened when these certain events take place or these things line up. They do a lot of trend analysis that you wouldn't otherwise have or do or know. And there's a pop on XLNX here over the 200. Peloton now has not been able to cross the 34 since this pop. So watching the 34 pretty close here. I mean, it's, a candle or two above and then gets pulled back down. So keep an eye on that on the 34 if you're looking at Peloton. Amazon now above the 34, above the 9 EMA. MU appears to be taking a breather. And nice pop here on AbbVie coming in. See if it can get over VWAP, which it has not been able to do all day. Again, pop this morning and now has just been rejecting VWAP, but it is holding up rather nicely here. Bit of a trend. You can see a trend line here on the 1 minute. Yeah, so Samson, um, exactly. The first 2 years of a new president is usually bearish. Uh, and that's kind of what I was reading, is that if the sitting president gets reelected, then, that condition doesn't exist. Let's go AbbVie. Get above VWAP. Indicator setting up here, the squeeze indicator is low, but kind of set up here for potential pop above VWAP there. And then you could see another test of this 89.40. Roku needs to die. Sorry for anybody that's in it. No secret that I am not a Roku fan. AbbVie, right there at VWAP. Love to see it get over that. Curling up here. 9 EMA approaching VWAP as well. Got about 55 minutes left in the day. Um, JBug. I mean, you are at an area of resistance here intraday. It has made higher lows here on this move. Me personally, you give it to the 34. See what it does right here. You got the 34, potentially some support also. Right in here you can see a couple times that was resistance. It's broken through that. So you have that and the 34. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do because it certainly could pull back here. And if it breaks that to the downside, you're going to lose your 4%. But I would look at this myself. I would be watching this right here to see what it does, to see if it finds support here, because if it does, you could get a little run out of it. But it's got to get a little volume behind it. I mean, you certainly can take your profit, and there's no shame in it. Absolutely. Just kind of depends on how much room you want to give it. I would say, risk being a little bit higher right here because you are at resistance. VWAP is overhead. So I would say the risk is a little bit higher versus, a clean break of VWAP, then a pullback to test, and then it starts moving back up. But it's making higher lows along the way here. It's above the 34. Just needs to get through VWAP. I don't think I would hold it. If it's 50% of your portfolio, I would probably not be holding it overnight. I would just let this move right here kind of play out a little bit and see what it's going to do. Yeah. Just watch this 34. Let's see if if we can get the 34 up higher and we can get any sort of push here. That's what'll do it for sure. It's all about risk management, money management. All right, BA 338. Now getting a little pop. That is the name of the game. There we go. What are we at? 88.80. It should be Yeah, it's above VWAP. It did get a little pop here through VWAP at resistance, but looking like it's breaking out, and it did just break that resistance. Now, how much are you up now? Because you were 4%. What are you at now? Well, no, you got a little pullback here. Thank you, Samson. Seems like every day AbbVie has some sort of headline. Received approval for rheumatoid arthritis treatment. Spread 91 by 94. Gotcha. Well, since it took that long to get above VWAP, I would say to limit your risk, as long as it stays above VWAP, you're okay. There's a little, getting another little pop here. And you can see these wicks here at the bottom of the 9 EMA pushing up. And I wasn't ready for you to do that yet. I'm just kidding. I mean, you got these wicks that are down here at the bottom of the 9 EMA, and it's pushing up from there at the moment. Market perform, price target 86. Thanks, Samson. There have been quite a few price target changes recently on AbbVie. Most of them higher, but yeah, JBug, no problem. That's it, man. Slow grind. 10% at a time will get you there. $625 million for sale on the early MOC. GH is over 82. And AYX 111.70. Max R 18 bucks. That one has been awesome. ATVI broke over 60. Average price target for AbbVie is 96. Yep. That's okay, J-Bug. Man, you got to protect that capital. I get out of a lot of trades too. I got out of MU way too early. Yeah, definitely too much risk for you right now holding overnight. PB says go ATVI. That's right. Go ATVI. And XLNX 99.85. Up 261 today. J-Bug, I agree. You need to build yourself some sort of cushion so you're not having to put in 50% of your portfolio into each trade. Because you have to be damn near perfect. You can't risk, you really on 200 bucks, you can't risk more than 20 bucks in a trade. As far as, I mean, you can throw $100 on the table, but if you're down 15 bucks, you kind of got to get out. But I will tell you that the people that I've known that have blown up their accounts, gotten down to, $300 or $400 or $500 or whatever, and have been able to build it back from there, have learned the lessons that they need to learn to do it on a bigger scale. Because that's tough to do. That's tough to do. But it will teach you a tremendous amount of discipline. Because that's the only way you're going to make it work. No more swinging for the fences and hoping to get lucky. That's right. See that? That may have been a dark pool print right there. I don't see anything. That was kind of crazy. Yeah, when you're batting for home runs every time, it's just gonna bite you in the ass. Best thing you can do is try to get on base. That's all you're doing, just trying to get on base. If you get on base and then something runs and you're already in and you're in a good spot and then it runs, there's no stress behind it. You get in on something because of where it is on the chart and then it runs. It's like, it's the easiest, those are the easiest trades you'll make. And at that point, it's like it wasn't speculation, it wasn't a guess, it wasn't hope. It was, no, I bought it because of where it was on the chart, because I was buying at long term support. And when you get home runs, it's because you were already in, and then things starts moving up, and then good news comes out, and then it takes off, and it's like, woohoo, I was already in. I don't have to chase. But if it's already making a move and it's already popping, and you weren't in, then you're chasing. Maxar just broke 18. That's a good example. I've been in Maxar forever, since like $6, and it's at 18 bucks. AbbVie, I was in the 60s, and it's at 89. Didn't have to chase it. AYX is at 112. Should have bought more of that one. My average is under 100. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Didn't. Well, J-Bug, you just have to know. I'm not saying you can only trade a $60 contract. I'm saying that when you go into something, you're going to have to be really, really careful about planning out ahead of time and not just jumping into something. And knowing that, okay, if you're looking at AbbVie up here, if I see this break and I want to take a shot at it up here, I can, knowing that even if it pulls back to here and I'm down 20% on my contracts or something, that's not that big of a deal and I'm okay with it. To be honest, you need to be in the mindset that this setup has to be perfect, meaning it has to break through this, pull back, test the 34 and check the 34 here, and you need to see a couple candles moving up in the direction that you want, the continued direction up, and then you get in you know, and only ride it for 10%, 15%, get out, take your profit. You know, you've got to be really, really careful. And when you're looking at the trade, you have to, like I said, you got to know that, okay, if I enter here and it pulls back to the 34, that's a great entry. But if I enter here and it pulls back to the 34, I'm down 20%. So you need to be, you may never get that touch to the 34, but that's how patient you should be. Is nope. If it doesn't play out perfectly, I can't touch it. But then when you do, you know, you get a pullback to the 34. It's sitting at the 34. You know, your downside risk is so much more limited because it's not like here. If you're buying it here, dumb, right? Because if this does get a pullback and pulls back to the 34, whatever contract you just bought is going to be down 40% in a heartbeat. So you've just got to know that, and you got to go, where are other buyers likely to step in and support the price action? Well, if it pulls down to the 34 and you see some volume coming in, it's like, all right, now I can limit my downside risk because my thesis is that it holds the 34. That's what I'm playing off of. If it breaks the 34 by 2 candles, you're out. And you might lose 5%, maybe 10%, right? But if you can limit those losses to 5%, 10%, even 15%, you know, and you can get 10, 15% gains and your batting average is over 50%, long term, you're going to profit. And I rode this AbbVie run. This second red candle here, I'm out the majority of my position. I took a 12% gain just on weekly contracts. I still have longer term stuff, but yeah, you're welcome. Boeing 737 MAX jet pilots will need sim training. Headline that came out around the FAA. So now you had this nice little run. Now you can look for a pullback to a level of support. And it's best when multiple levels of support line up. Like, you know, if the 34 in VWAP, you know, if this had pulled back right about here, you could go, okay, well, I got the 34 and I got this level of support right here, this price level intraday that I'm looking to hold up. You know, that's ideal when you get multiple levels right here that are supporting the move that you're looking for. But that, I think that's how patient you need to be. Peloton here above the 9 EMA, currently hitting its head on the 34 here. And J-Bug, the thing to remember is I know that I'm not going to win every trade. Not every single trade. I'm not going to get out of every single one green. They're not all going to be profitable. But if I can win more than I lose, and my percentage gainers are even slightly higher than my percentage losers over the long term, that's going to grow. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to win every trade. But the more probabilities that you can put in your favor, the better chance you have. So CAT right here at resistance and rejecting. Let's look at it is just barely above the 34. Maybe breaking down below it. Jeez, BYND. Can't even watch that. I have a little BA. Twilio coming up to VWAP. Ooh. So that's the pop on BYND. There's a headline out that Impossible Meat is, or Foods or whatever is not going after McDonald's due to scaling issues. So BYND getting a little pop on that headline. Jenny B in Black Box Discord on the comment of the scaling issues asked if they were running out of leaves. CRM 176.73 making new highs. CRM. Twilio now flirting with VWAP. Looking good for a potential pop here. Look at CAD off that resistance. I don't use Bollinger Bands. Pretty much just watch VWAP 34 and the 9 EMA intraday. But I'm also looking at, multiple time frames. I'm looking at longer term areas of support and resistance. It's okay, J-Bug. I'm not too worried about missing something. If I miss something, that's fine. I'll catch something else. Not that big of a deal. But I mean, you've seen the way that I typically approach these, looking at longer term areas of support or resistance and then trying to get a sense of, and JBug, there's not a, in my opinion, there is not a, if there was a set of indicators that you could, have I looked at JD? Not lately. They're a China name, JBug. I haven't looked at them lately. But if there was a set of indicators that you could use, that would guarantee your success, there'd be no losers, right? So part of it, my opinion, I think part of it is using the indicators to try, and the EMAs and things like that, to kind of really try to determine, I may have a bias as to the direction that I think something should be moving. And I use the indicators in the EMAs for confirmation, and you're also using them as to try to figure out, this is a puzzle. You're trying to figure out the trend, and you're trying to figure out, where do buyers step in, where's their supply, and where's their demand? Where do the buyers step in? Where do people start adding to that supply and drop the price? And so, I'm using all of these to try to help me determine that, but I'm also, a lot of it is just time in front of charts, and you start to see the way that things move, and you can kind of get a sense of, okay, here's what I see in the technicals, but you also start to get a feel for it, I think. You can start to anticipate a little bit based on what you're seeing and the way that something's moving. You stare at a ticker long enough and you see the way that it's moving, and you start to get a sense of, okay, I've seen this before, and like this, here's what I feel like, what it looks like is happening. I mean, some of it is, there's all this, trade like a robot, and you can do that, and some people are very successful with that. For me, it's a mix of the two. It's like, I'm using these EMAs, I'm using these indicators to try to help give me the confirmation. But I also, there's certain moves that I'm looking for based on longer term charts or something like that. So cat popped through VWAP. And to me, this is like, the way this move looks is like, yeah, it popped through, and then the selling resumed right here at resistance. Looks weak. There wasn't a ton of buy volume or buy side pressure on this move. But some of it can also be that I'm a little biased and that I think CAT is due for a pullback. If I look at CAT on a weekly chart, oops. It spent since October, actually, even before that, you had that one little pop through it. But since June 2018, it was below this level, as far back as June 2018. It did bounce off the 200 there nicely, here on the weekly chart. But without some big headline news something. I'm like, what's going to push it through all this resistance? I don't have anything. I don't know what's gonna push it through. Samson, that is on my mind and something that I talk about a lot. I think there's a lot of data available that is not currently being made available to people like you and me. That data's there. It's available. Um, the algos are using it. Look at PanW, little pop here. But we don't have it. ATVI running. ATVI is popping. 60.28. Yeah, nice pop there. Samson, I'm interested. This is the first time ATVI has been over 60 since the end of October 2018. Samson, send me a DM in Discord. I'll tell you about some interesting things that I've got going on. And BA double top, triple top ish here, broke down through the 34. See what it does here. Coming up on the 34 right now. right. Got 12 minutes. 12 minutes to see. Let's see what we're going to do into the close here. Any predictions? Do we pop or do we drop? MOC was 700 million to the sell side. Samson thinks drop. Kind of looking that way, isn't it? Let's see, I'm showing. I'm not showing an updated MOC. Let's see, pretty sizable sell on close for AbbVie. No, it's for next week, Grid. But to be honest, I'm probably just gonna dump it. I don't really care to hold. Not up here, 338. If I was holding from like 330, that 330 area has been really strong. Yeah, I'm just gonna dump this. Not worth it. It's not worth the risk. And I don't have any sort of, I don't have any sort of conviction on BA. Honestly, I think it should be a lot lower than what it is. So there's nothing that's, intriguing to me as to why I should risk that. A lot of stuff pulling back, and right now ATVI, well, it's just a little pullback there at the moment. A lot of AAP buy on close. The biggest buy on close orders are in Visa, JPM, Johnson & Johnson, and Home Depot. Be the top four. Doesn't mean much, but $136 million in Visa buy on close. So hopefully this 5480-ish area, 5476, can hold up as support on CRWD. Had some nice pops today, but after that initial, just could never get back to high a day. I do still like this, at least up to 50, 58.50 or so. Still like the potential there, but looking pretty weak on the shorter time frames. But we'll see. We'll probably have to wait until tomorrow to get an outcome. But watching that 54.56 or so area is potential support. Now BA drifting down along with Twilio and SPY. See if it's going to hold up there. UTVI 6038. We got 3 minutes left. Cisco red today. That is it. So I'm going to take a look at the after hour scanner. I will open up the voice to Black Box for Q&A Tuesday. You can kind of listen to anything that might happen in there. The first question was, are you still swinging your Amazon puts? No big moves yet on the after hours scanner. Nothing anyway that I care about or catches my attention. Always a couple of low floaters and penny stocks and that sort of thing that hit it. Nike making a little move after hours. Nothing significant yet. Samson, I try not to take a bias, you know, based on those dark pool transactions. It's really just it's kind of something to be aware of. You know, a lot of times if it's something that I'm playing and I see a dark pool trade, I'll throw something on the chart. I'll throw a line or a circle. Usually I'll throw a circle on the chart indicating that, oh, keep an eye on this level because there was a big dark pool trade here. Was a weaker close. Um, we'll see if it's another by the dip. All right, people. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to go over? If you're newer or not or whatever, trying to figure all this out, you have any questions? Happy to help if I can. See you, Samson. If there's no questions, you guys have a good night, and I will be here in the morning. So I will catch you then. Right on, CFAB. Have a good night. See you, PB. All right, guys. Have a good night. See ya.